Edge leaving work. We've had some issues with Safari specifically, not liking the software we used to create it, so watch out for that. Yeah, surprise. If you fall behind during the simulation, you can follow along with Erin. If you fall behind, just focus on Erin. We're gonna leave the links live for another year, so at least until JNUC 2023. So bring them back to your coworkers, friends, family, mailman, whoever you want to show. We'll do Q&A after the presentation as well. I will be running around with the mic. I know it's a pain in the butt, but please use the mic to ask your question for Q&A just so everyone can hear.
I don't think your mic is actually on.
Is it? It's not on? Test.
Yes.
Oh, now it's on. Okay. Should I do the whole intro again, or should I Well, that's it for me, I guess, then. Give a hand to Erin.
Oh, good afternoon, everybody. Yay for having lunch. Thank you all for waving, who has, and everybody who isn't. I appreciate you having hands on the keys. So, I am Erin McDonald, as Zach had mentioned. I'm a partner program manager here at JAMF. What that means is that I help all of the people who go out and do services on our behalf do things more awesome. I am here to make things better. Prior to that, I was in support, so if things were very broken or your database was an unholy mess, you talk to me. And then I went to pro services where I got to do all of the interesting, amazing things. That's part of what we're talking about here. So, apparently I don't know how to work this. There we go. So, what we're going to talk about today is we're going to figure out what our problem is. And I feel like you already know what the problem is. You wouldn't be here if you didn't know what the problem was. Then how we can go about fixing it. And then we're going to try it out and see how all that process works. So, has this ever happened to you? You've been sitting around minding your own business, and all of a sudden, that smart group that you have where devices haven't checked in a while gets a new member. So, what that means is that, that's all well and fine. You're going to have to get your hands and fix it. But you live here, and your coworker works over here. So that means that it's going to really take a lot of fixing to deal with. You're either going to have to remote in or get in touch with them. And then you've got to figure out when they're going to be online. And on top of that, whether or not we're going to be able to fix it properly, or you have to get them to re-enroll again. So you've got all that hassle, all of this. There has to be a better way. And there is. So the JAMF Management Framework Endpoint API was introduced, as well as app installers. So we're going to use both of these things to get everything into compliance. So this endpoint was added in JAMF Pro 10.36. And this means that you can, in the community, we had previously had a lot of workflows that could help resolve this issue. For example, I believe a lot of you have seen that self-heal that was out there. Works fantastic. Heartily recommended, except for one thing. What that does is that we're going to download a brand new Quick App package. And usually that's when you run that package, it's going to yank off the MDM profile. But if there's some sort of problem with running that, I don't have the MDM profile again because of the version of macOS 11. You could no longer, through a script, add the MDM profile. So that leaves us in a very broken state. So with this new API endpoint, and this is in the JAMF Pro API, not the Classic API. We've got two different APIs. This one is going to run the install enterprise package, which is going to put the framework back in place for us, leaving that MDM profile completely intact. Now, the JAMF app catalog, or the app installers, this is the app catalog that came along to help us go ahead and put down applications that had already been packaged out for us. Now, a couple of caveats here. This is going to put the latest and greatest on. So if this is something that you are concerned about change management, this might not be the fit for you. And of course, as we probably already know, this is not available in self-service until in the future. Get excited. So we are gonna go ahead and do the lab, and I am missing the link on this one, Zach. So if you can help me out?
All right, the link is at jam.it/lab automation. It's jam.it/lab automation.
I'll be looking for a series of general nods and good feelings that we've gotten to that point. It makes you want it. Okay. We believe in it. Everybody clap.
Yeah, I got a 404.
We believe in this, we believe in fairies, all of us.
We got a 404 back here.
Yes, yes.
Did you guys use the HTTPS?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got 404. But never mind.
Feel like we're in a good spot, that we can go ahead?
No.
Sad, okay.
No.
Sorry.
No.
Oh, he got it. Okay.
IT.
We can share.
IT.
As Zach had mentioned, this is gonna be out there for a long time.
Lab, not dot automation.
Oh, just
And
lab
so I'm
automation.
having
Okay.
problems here. I apologize heartily. I'm also gonna be showing
I heard-
videos.
I'm
So
pretty sure I
if at
heard
any
that
point
too.
during the videos, I'm going a little bit fast.
The video
I
record
can
will
start
be
now
updated.
because I'm above the Mason-Dixon line, so I'm always gonna talk fast. So let me know if I'm going too fast. I'll go back as best I can, okay? So, in order to do this, we're gonna have to start out with building the framework for the workflow. So, we are going to need to go to patch management, and we're gonna create a new patch management title for an application that we wanna keep up to date. And I feel that a really mission critical app for any enterprise is Discord. So we're gonna go ahead and build one for that. Once you've got that patch title in place, you're gonna use that patch reporting title to build a smart group so that we can determine, okay, who doesn't have the appropriate version of Discord? So it's patch reporting is not the latest version. Next, we want to get Discord to that appropriate level so that we're able to do all the important work. So we're going to go to Mac apps and the Jamf app catalog, and we're going to go ahead and search for Discord. We accept the terms and conditions. And then we're going to use that smart group that we just built as our target group. Now, we're gonna build the group that you probably all already have. That is, last check-in greater than X days. Once I'm done with that, I'm gonna need that ID number from that smart group. We're gonna use that a little bit later. Yep. So, now we're gonna go into backwards. Yep, going backwards, forwards. If you can't tell, I'm new here. So, this is a script that we're gonna be using, and it's gonna be available for resources during this entire session, but it's gonna start out with a couple of variables that we're gonna need to fill in. First is gonna be that Jamf Pro URL that we're going to. Then we're going to need the username and password of an API account that has specific permissions. Basically, I want an API account that is able to read the smart group to determine who is a member of that group. And then I'm going to need permissions to actually send out that install enterprise package. That smart group that we have, I plug that in so I know what group I'm looking at to determine who is or is not a member. Since this is going to be using the Jamf Pro API, username and password really doesn't exist much for us anymore. We're going to be using a token, so the script is going to go through, use those credentials that I plugged in there to create a token to use that API endpoint. After I've got that, it's going to take that token, and then we're going to go through that smart group and gather all of the members. So it's going to start running that again, except that's backwards. Now we're forwards. It took a long time with this video. Good job. So username and password, where that smart group is. So I've got my credentials there that are being used to generate that token. When I generate that token, it is going to include an expiration date. So there's a section of the script there where I'm stripping out that expiration date because it's not going to be any good to us. I go through that smart group, figure out who is a member and is not. I take that list of identifiers, I loop through it, and I send that API command to reinstall the framework. Then after I'm all done with that, I invalidate the token so it can't be used again. So now we're going to see what this looks like on the client side. Just so I may not have made it clear, so I'm going to try and make it clear here. I'm not running the script on the computer. I am running this from some other point. I can run this from, say, my desktop. I can give it to one of my other IT team members. They can run it to fix this. So here's our client computer. It has the MDM profile for my Jamf Pro server. Really important, needs to exist. Also, it has to be my Jamf Pro. I can't steal anybody else's sheet. So, everything's fine, except when I yank out the Jamf binary, so it stops communicating, and now I'm just gonna put in a brand new exciting version of an older version of Discord. So, the script gets run, and back goes the binary. Then in a bit, you're going to see Discord update. This does take some time. At the very longest, it's going to be 15 minutes. But it will still update. So there we are. I have my shape back in my flock. So here's the thing though. So the thing is that that's all well and good, but that means that you yourself are going to have to run this by hand, and ain't nobody got time for that. So there are ways that you can go ahead and do this. That very first blog post, one of our engineers put together a workflow that is using Microsoft's Power Automate. If you don't have access to that, there is also the Java. Now, some of you may have gone to the session, If This Then Jamf. That highlights the Java. There's gonna be another session tomorrow. But if you can't make it to that, there is also that link that I put out there. It's a previous session of JNUC that also highlights the Java. So I'm gonna leave this up here. I already put up a slide that says any questions. Let's go to the questions.
Is the Pro API return JSON like the classical, which is XML?
I'm sorry, what was that?
So the return response for the Pro APIs, they return JSON now, right? Instead of just being classical, which is just XML, right?
Correct. Really you only get back is for sending JSON, we're getting back JSON. Now, I did all of this in Bash, and as some of you may or may not know, Bash doesn't do well with JSON. So you're looking at something along the lines of, say, Python, which I read, but I cannot write. So that's why I did not do that. But what you're looking at here with the workflow that's out on the blog, as well as with the Java, we're using webhooks. So in that point, when a device either leaves or joins that smart group, there is a webhook that says, smart group device membership changed. So we've got that for mobile devices, we've got that for computers. The response that comes back for that is either a numerical list of those devices that have either added or been removed from that group. So it is possible to, with parsing that, use that as your list of IDs as opposed to just monkeying through that smart group like I showed you.
Is the redeploy endpoint doing a full enrollment complete, or is it kind of like a hybrid? If I don't have I worry about reinstalling all my base software from the get-go, because it seems like it is a pure redeploy of the Jamf framework.
It will do, essentially, like you said, it is going to be a re-enrollment. It is doing that repair. Specifically, the thing that this really fixes is, how many of you have hit device signature error? Double hands, yes. This fixes that. This is what the scripts that were out there that other people far smarter than me built to fix. But yes, you are absolutely correct. It is going to do that.
So just as a clarification, if you don't have your enrollment complete set up correctly, you could possibly redeploy all of your initial software. So that's just something we should watch out for. We want to keep that pretty minimal.
Absolutely correct. So all of those who have done enrollment complete targeted to all computers, get ready.
So I'm pretty familiar with this process. We've been trying to get a few machines back, but what I see is it just lands on the machine as a pending command and never completes. And I've got a few tickets with Jamf open. They're leaning toward APNS, but I enrolled a machine, and then 2 weeks later it hits the device signature error, stops checking in, and we haven't touched APNS in probably over 8 months. So
Okay.
they're saying yeah, like this token or the topic ID might be different, but I just don't know if but at the surface before Mojave, all these machines, it works flawlessly. But anytime I hit a machine above Mojave, and I always thought it was the quick add package that got deprecated, but I guess you take that into account and you still expect it to work.
It should work. And yeah,
I've yet to get it work on anything above Mojave, and I'm not sure why.
that is fair. In the grand realm of things should work. I should also be taller and be able to get things off the top shelf. So it doesn't apply to everyone.
Re-enrollment is the other solution, and I'm fine with that if I accept that as an answer, but I didn't know if you ever heard of that or anything to say about that.
I have heard of that. In the same stroke though, I have heard from also in the sense of support where there may be something wrong with the MDM profile. What level of wrong it is or is not, I unfortunately do not know.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, is there a recommended time frame for the automating like a self-heal?
Honestly, and I dislike that this is gonna be my answer, it depends. So what your level of compliance would be for your organization would be the number that I would set for this. Now, if you're okay with not hearing from something for 30 days, fantastic. If you need to hear from it more frequently, I would take in consideration, what is the longest amount of time that somebody is gonna be on vacation? So if they're gonna be out for say 2 weeks, great, that's my number. But if we start going a little bit closer, you're going to make a lot of new friends in all of your help desk tickets.
Is there any available like log reporting or something special above and beyond? Normally I would just check the policy history to see if the policy complete, but I'm not 100% sure about the endpoint. Where do those logs show up?
There is a unified log that you can parse for that. You would still be looking at that install enterprise application section of the unified logging. It should hopefully get you where you wanna be.
So with the current sort of fix with the JAMP re-enrollment and no policy flag, is that something that could be applied here so that it doesn't install all of the new or all of the old software?
Unfortunately, no. Because essentially what's happening here is I'm installing that enterprise application, and that's coming down in the same way that it would for, say, an automated device enrollment. That particular framework is what's coming down, and I personally cannot tweak that. I feel like there was one up front here.
In terms of logging, is there a way to view logs to see, so like we have a lot of warehouse stations, and so if they stop checking in, we don't know if it's as nefarious as someone removing the JAMP agent, or if it's just, oh, MacBook Air got its clamshell shut and it's now in an inventory rack somewhere. So is there a way to see like that failure that it couldn't, that the API call couldn't even get to the endpoint?
So this is gonna work out the same way that any sort of MDM command is going to show up. So as he had mentioned, it's gonna just sit there and pending for a while. So unfortunately, there's really no good logging that we can pull supposedly from the JAF Pro console, but you're gonna probably have to look at individual machine records for now. I'll also take questions about what my favorite cheese is. I moved away from the Midwest and I miss Wisconsin a lot. I like a 2-year-old Gouda or a 2-year-old Gruyere. Once you get her into the newer cheeses, unless it's a cheese curd, don't talk to me. Okay. It feels like there's, oh, never mind, found something. Okay, thank you. Awesome, thanks you guys, and have a good time.